Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Thursday night here in my wonderful abode. I'm gonna be doing some film developing, so we're gonna get some constant agitation in tonight, and it's gonna be good. Good evening, Wing 41. Looks like I'm having immediate technical fuckery right off the bat. It appears that my camera fell asleep. My cell phone camera, at any rate. I don't know why you did that, but you did, and there we are. Now we're back to normal. Hopefully it'll stay that way for a bit. But good evening, nonetheless. Don't know why you're doing that. Anyway, we are going to be developing a roll of 35mm film tonight. So, here's the star of our show tonight. And unlike Artist Back Alley, when I'm on the Artist Back Alley raid trains, where I only have an hour, so I already have to have everything prepared and ready to go, because this will take about 35-40 minutes to develop once it begins. I can go through the entire process from start to finish, how I prepare, how I prep, how to mix chemicals, things like that. I can show the entire process, and that is what I intend to do. So, thank you so much for spending some of your Thursday evening with me. I was supposed to do this on Thursday. Not Thursday. I was supposed to do this last Tuesday, but idiot me had forgotten to replenish his chemicals, so I had to order them Tuesday night, or I ordered them Monday night, and they came in yesterday. So we are good to go. We are ready to go. So, yeah, let's dive in. So before I get started, just want to let you know that if you haven't seen my photography, I am known professionally as Brian J. French, and if you want to check out my work, type in !art, and that will take you to my Linktree page. That's the link aggregate, so you'll find links to my website, Instagram, Vero, Redbubble, Patreon, all of that wonderful stuff. Thank you, Wing. There's the link right in the chat. And on my Redbubble store, you can find this exact shirt, this constant agitation shirt, the design was by my excellent friend, Tiny Dragon on Fire. Let's give Tiny Dragon on Fire a shout out if you can in the chat, Winged. And just an awesome, lovely person. So let's start. So we've got all the players. You can see there in the upper corner, you see all my chemicals and everything I have ready to go to develop a roll of 35mm film. So the idea of developing film, this is something that we can do right at home. You don't need a darkroom to develop film at home. You need a darkroom for making prints, but not necessarily film at home. To develop film at home, all you need, well, this is actually the key. It's this piece of equipment right here. It is a film changing bag, and it is a double-lined bag, which has 2 entry points for your arms, and as I said, it's double layered, and it's got a zipper pouch right on the bottom. You shove everything in there, you zip it up, put your arms through, and get groping, as it were. So yes, this process is probably the hardest part of the entire film developing, because this part here in the film changing bag has to be done entirely. Not necessarily. You have to do it entirely by touch, because once you pop open this roll of film, it cannot be exposed to light or you'll ruin it. That's why you have the film changing bag. So, but in that film changing bag goes the entire is the film developing tank, which comes in pieces. Now, the last few times that if you've watched me develop film before, the last few times I developed medium format film, which this process is exactly the same. This 35 millimeter black and white and the medium format film, it's the same exact film. The only difference is that with the medium format film, it's a larger film, so you need more chemical, greater amounts of chemical, and you need a larger developing tank. This is a 35 millimeter developing tank. It holds just a single roll of 35 millimeter film. So what goes in here is this spool. This is what we use to take the film from its film canister, and we wind it onto this spool here. This little black plastic piece that goes in the center, this sits in the center of the developing tank, that it stays in place there. Then on top of that goes the funnel, the light tight funnel, which goes right on top of that. This just screws in. You pour your for this developing tank, you just pour your chemicals right down the center of that hole. And then, of course, the lid, so that you don't spill any chemicals when you are constantly agitating the chemicals during the process. So, I haven't mixed any of my chemicals yet. As I said, we're going to be doing... We can do this the long way tonight. Good evening, Steph. Hello. Hello, hello. So, let's load up the film changing bag here. So I'm just gonna go behind me. We're just gonna load this with the spool, the tank, the funnel, the lid, star of our show, the film itself, and other for 35 millimeter film, 2 other pieces of equipment that you're gonna want that will help make your life easier. You need a bottle opener, like one's for opening beer bottles, because you need something to pry, because the tops of these film, this is a metal container. You need something to pry off the top or bottom of your film canister, so you need a bottle opener. And probably a pair of scissors, so that you can get a nice straight, you can cut a nice straight edge for loading your spool. Actually, let me fix that spool so that I can load it easier. There we are. And what I mean by the scissors is that, so most rolls of 35 millimeter, when they're brand new, they have this little lead on them, and that's so you can load the camera. So I mean, you pull out 5 or 6 inches of this, load it into your camera. But when you finish shooting the roll, it all winds right back. It goes right back into the canister, and the lead disappears. So when you pry the film open, you want to find that lead and take some scissors and cut. The first 6 inches or so of the film, there's no images on it, so there's no real danger in cutting if you make an errant cut there. So you mean I could use that as an excuse and I pull... Yes, you could. You could say, I have this bottle opener so that I can develop film at a moment's notice. All right, let's get this all in here. Zip it all up. And we've got Velcro to further help us along our merry way. All right, let's move my camera there. Somebody just popped into the chat. Pokesmash, good evening to you. And yes, I am about to begin developing a roll of 35mm film. Black and white 35mm. So let's do the fun part of all of this. Groping around in the dark. Okay, there's my film. There's my scissors. There's my spool. Where's my bottle opener? Yes, very because this process is so sus. Come on. Now there's the bottle. There's the bottle opener. There's the scissors. I just had the spool. Ah, there we are. All right. I've never used a darkroom bag. When I was in college, we actually had designated rooms, film changing closets. But I'm not in college anymore, and I still shoot film, so I need some way to get film into the canister. So that's how I wound up with the darkroom bag. All right, so here we go. Let's pop off this roll. Yep, there we are. That was easy. Came off without a fight. All right, let's take the scissors. Cut the lead. All right, there's the lead. It's been cut. Let's find the spool. And thank you so much for the follow. All right. Where's the leader? There it is. Loaded it into the spool. And here we go. We're loading the film. Nowhere even close to the end. This is a 36 exposure roll of black and white film. So I shot this roll of film almost 2 weeks ago when I was in Toronto for Memorial Day weekend, because that's apparently what I've started doing anytime the United States has one of its big, ugly, patriotic holidays. I flee the country. Alright, so when we get to the end of a roll of Ilford film, Ilford specifically, it's hard attached to the center of the film canister. So we just have to do a little tear, just rip it right off. And that's how we load up the rest of the way. Awesome. Alright, where's my little black plastic piece that goes into the center? There it is. Put it into the tank. Grab the funnel. Screw the funnel on. Good. Where's my lid? There's my lid. And there we are. I'll have to check my audio settings in just a second. Don't ask me important questions while I've got a naked roll of film. Alright. So, film's in here now. So, there's the empty film canister. There's scissors. Bottle opener. My lead. Alright. Cool. Alright. Let me just put my headset down for a moment while I clear this table out of the way. Well, have a great night, Pokesmash. Thank you for the lurk, and thank you for the follow. I very, very much appreciate that. All right. So now we've got the film in the canister, so now we got to prepare our chemicals. As I said earlier, normally when I'm doing an artist back alley raid train, I already have the chemicals prepared because I only have an hour on the raid train, and this is going to take about 35 to 40 minutes once I pour the developer in. So the only chemical that I have made beforehand is the developer. It's the only one that of the chemicals that I use that I have to develop well beforehand, because the developer that I use, standard developer, Ilford ID11, all my chemicals and film are Ilford. This is a powder, and you need to reconcentrate it, and the powder dissolves at a water temperature of at least 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. Once it's mixed and everything's all dissolved at that temperature, you can't use the developer, because if you do, you will boil your film. So you have to wait until, once it's all dissolved, wait for it to come back down to room temperature, then you can use it. Everything else can be made just before we start. So that's what I'm going to do now. So the developer is already made, and I will portion that out as the last step. When you use developer, there are 3 ways that you can use it. You can use the developer right out of your container. Now that's called your stock developer. You can use that. You can use a 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 part developer to 1 part water. That's a very common method. That's the method I'm going to be using. That's the method I've always used. But if you have loads of free time on your hands and you want to experiment, you can also use a 1-to-3 ratio. 1 part developer to 3 parts water. Speaking of water, thank you for the hydrate. So do you hate doing the bag part, or is it okay? So when you first start doing it, it's really, really difficult because, again, you can't see what you're doing. But at this point, I've developed so many rolls of film that it's just I can do that in my sleep. So, I mean, it's an absolutely required step. There's no getting around it. Unless you have a completely light, tight closet. Like, so I've just gotten used to it because after doing it for, I've been developing film since my first Photo 1 class in my senior year of high school back in 2003, so it's almost 20 years. How do I feel about it? I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's when I started learning how to develop film, I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I've lost early going. I lost more rolls of film doing that because something's not the spool is not working, and and in that changing bag your hands are getting sweatier and sweatier, and it's gutting onto the film, and it was a nightmare. But now it's fine. After hundreds and hundreds of rolls, it's just like, all right, put everything in there, boom, 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 done. All right, so I said we're pushing out the developer in a little bit. Next, we'll do some stop bath. And stop bath, in this lovely little canister right here, Ilford Ilfo Stop. Mixing this, it's 1 part chemical to 19 parts water. So a very little bit of, yes, I am a pro. A little bit of this stuff goes a really, really long way. The problem is, this container is a 10 and some ounce container. So, like, what I usually wind up doing for a roll of 35 millimeters, I'll just put 1 ounce chemical to 19 ounces of water. Yeah, I'm going to get some waste, but again, this stuff goes, this stuff goes so far anyway, so it's like, I don't mind wasting some of that. If I know I'm going to be developing multiple rolls in the same day, then I'll create a larger batch, but, so 1 to 19, which I need my measuring cup for that. So, 19 ounces of water. And I've got a Brita pitcher off to the side here. Ideally, you want to try to use filtered water at minimum, because some of the naturally occurring minerals and stuff in regular tap water can potentially screw up your chemistry. I mean, obviously, if tap water is all you've got, then then you do what you need to do. I need a little bit more. That's just a skosh. There we are. This film will be hydrated as fuck. Absolutely. The most hydrated. And I'll just take this jug of Ilfo Stop, and I've already measured 19 ounces in this jug, so I'll just bring this right up to 20. There we are. So that's stop bath. We'll let that mix and percolate here. My next chemical. So I use 5 chemicals when I develop film. The first 3 are absolutely required for the process. The first 3 are absolutely necessary, Developer, Stop Bath, and Fixer. And then the other two that I use afterward, Washade and Ilfotol, they just make my life easier. Alright. So for Fixer, which is in this handy-dandy jug, this is 1 to 4. 1 part chemical to 4 parts water. This I can get away. Again, it's about a 10 and some ounce developing tank. So I round up. I'm like, all right, let's go, let's have a total of 12 ounces. So I'll go 10 ounces water. That's my 4 parts water. And then the 1 part chemical is 2.5 ounces. So for that, let's just prepare. Two and a half ounces. So let's just get that poured out. This stuff smells so much like vinegar. Like the stuff you color your Easter eggs with. That should be right about 2.5. Oh, right on the nose. How about that? It's like I've done this before. Alright. Let's put 10 ounces of water right into my jug while trying desperately not to trip over my USB cord here that has my headset. I need one of the... Whenever I do a film developing stream, I need to get one of those wireless mics. Alright. So here, 10 ounces of water. And let's pour in our 2.5 ounces of Fixer. Of raw Fixer. Purely raw, unadulterated, never bleached, never bromated Fixer. So we're up to 12. Let me put a couple more drops in. There we are. I am doing very well. Today was my first day at my new job, which still working for the New York State Department of Transportation, just in a different unit. Alright, so Stop Bath, Fixer. Let's get our Washade all set and ready to go. So again, this stuff is also 1 to 4. So 2.5 ounces to 10 of water. Yeah, this is the boring part. The making of the chemicals. This is the officially sanctioned boring part. The setup. But I know when I do a film developing stream, you guys don't usually see this part. All right. 10 ounces, 10 fluid ounces. It's not boring, it's ASMR. All right. I will take that as a positive. That's exactly 10 ounces. So let's fill the rest up with my wash aid. And then the very last chemical, which I need to actually get out of the box it came in. So this wash aid I will put off to the side for now. But only for now. I'll be right back. Freshly ordered. So this is a chemical called Ilfotol. That's the last chemical I use in the process, and I always call this jet dry for film. And the reason for that is because, well, thank you, Steph. The reason why I call this jet dry for film is because it does sort of the same purpose. When you use jet dry in a dishwasher, it makes it so that it prevents hard water spots from forming on your dishes, on your glasses. It's the same idea. The Ilfotol is the same idea, but with film. After it's all finished developing, it needs to dry. It needs to dry for several hours. And if you put some Ilfotol on it, and it just sits in there for a minute, then as it dries, you are far less likely to get water spots, dry water spots on your film, because that is a bitch to edit out. After you've scanned your negatives and you start working on them, you go, oh, god damn it, it's a water spot. So Ilfotol, unfortunately, is I said the stop bath a little goes a long way with it. One part chemical to 19 parts water for mixing. This stuff is really goes the long way. It's 1 to 200. 1 part water, 1 part chemical to 200 parts water. So the smallest quantity I can make without starting to get into insane micro amounts is 1 liter. So 5 milliliters. 5 milliliters of this stuff goes into a liter of water, which I have right here. And because I have to measure such piddling small amounts, I have to break out the tiny, tiny graduated cylinder. It's the max, it's 5 milliliters. Ilfotol doesn't get wasted, so what I don't use, I'm going to pour into my Ilfotol jug. But this stuff, oh my god, this stuff goes so far. The reason why I had to order more chemicals was, I was low on most of them, but I was actually out of this stuff because the previous bottle I had finally gone bad after 8 years. After 8 years developing film, I'd only managed to use about a third of the bottle before it finally went rancid. Like the last time when I did the last time the Artist Back Alley raid train, I was mixing. I was doing my mixing, and I'm mixing the Ilfotol, and I open that. I'm like, that smells kind of mildewy, and not only had it had started taking on a mildewy smell, it had also sort of congealed. It was kind of like almost like oobleck in a way, cornstarch and water. And I'm like, ooh, that's not supposed to do that. So, yeah. But 8 years it took for my previous bottle. That's how little I need when I'm developing film. So, let me just poke a quick hole in that. Boop. All right. All I need is 5 milliliters. That's it. Yeah, when it's fresh, it should look clear. It was gloopy and cloudy, like a bottle full. To get graphic, it kind of looked like semen. Like it had that sort of same consistency and look. I'm like, ooh, nope, you've gone off. Yeah, it's not good. Not great, Bob. So I have to be like a freaking lab scientist here to measure out 5 milliliters of this stuff, because that's as small as I can get it. There we are. Okay, there, better. All right. 5 milliliters. We pour that into our liter of water right here. And there we are. That's all I need. That'll mix and diffuse and do all that fun osmosis-y shit, and we're good to go. All right, I said the last thing we were going to do was the developer. So let's mix it up. Yeah, Winged is the actual scientist of the bunch here. I'm just a pale imitation. Alright. Dip, dip, dip. Saw my life flash before my eyes as I almost knocked that graduated cylinder over. I'm like, oh dear God, please, really? After all that? Alright. So as I said, I'm going to mix my developer 1-to-1. So 1 part developer, 1 part water. So I did not actually need to mix fresh developer for tonight, because this is still what's left from Artist Back Alley. So I've got about 20. I've got about 10 ounces of this stuff left. So but as long as it stays in this container, this stuff is actually good for several months. Alright, so I'm making a total of 12, so there's 6. A little over 6, actually. I need to put some of that back. Put a little overboard there. Too strong of a pour. There we are. Alright. So there's 6 ounces of chemical And now we'll do 6 ounces of water. All right, I believe we are just about ready to go. We are. All right, 12 ounces. All right, now I need to see. Now I need to check my chemicals, temperature, because this is checking the temperature of your chemicals. Very, very, very important, because that is going to determine how long your developing process is going to be. So, normal, ideal film developing temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or 20 degrees Celsius, for those of you who do not use our silly American freedom units. And I make that joke every single time. Thank you for watching me this far. I'm nothing if not predictable at times. So the ideal temperature is 68 degrees. However, with black and white film, it's significantly you have some freedom here. You can develop between 56 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So if your temperature is colder than 68, the developing time is going to be a bit longer. If it's warmer than 68, then it's going to be, your time is going to be a bit shorter. And how you determine that is several ways. You can go on, usually you can go onto the website of the company that made your developing chemical. So in this case, I'm using Ilford. So I can go onto the Ilford website and get developing charts for the type of film that I'm using. In this case, Ilford Delta 400. And the developer chemical that I'm using, in this case, ID11. Or you can, if after you've done finished mixing your developer up, the charts and everything are all printed on the inside of the box as well. So I like to develop it at 68 because I don't really like to do all the conversions, or am too lazy to look at a chart and extrapolate from that. So I'm about at 65 degrees. So I'm going to warm them up a few degrees. And I'm going to use my patented film chemistry warming device. This is not a hairdryer. I repeat, this is not a hairdryer. This is my film chemistry warming device. So I'm going to warm these up to 68. It's a good practice to have all of your chemicals as close to 68 as possible, especially your developer and your fixer. Stop bath, not as much, because stop bath is only, the stop bath only takes up about 30 to 60 seconds of the entire process, whereas your developer is going to be, for this film and this developer, 14 minutes, and your fixer is going to be between 4 and 5. So I am going to mute my mic because this is going to be loud. So this will take a couple of minutes. All right. We have reached our 68. In fact, that developer has gone a little above it. Let me just wait for it to... The hell song is this? Okay, it's still part of the same album. Shows you how little I've how long it's been since I've listened to this album. Okay. I did not expect you to go that quickly to 68, but we're at 70, which, alright, fine. I'm just gonna have to do the damn conversion anyway. That's fine. Let me check my handy-dandy chart. I did not expect for it to shoot up that fast. Alright, what's my 70 degrees? Yeah, Ilford 1 14 minutes normally. Where's my chart? There we are. So if it's at 14... Let's do the conversion. Okay, so it's 21 degrees Celsius. Yeah, 13 minutes. All right. Yeah, I figured as much. Basically, if you go... Basically, the rule of thumb is for every 1 degree above or below Celsius, it's about a minute. You either add or subtract a minute. So in this case, since we are starting at 70 degrees, we're just going to have to adjust by a minute, which is fine. 13 minutes, I can do that. So, let's get ready for what you all actually came here for. So my timer that I have set on the stream is for 14 minutes. So what I'm going to let that do is I'm going to let that bleed off for a minute. Yeah, we're looking at about 13. All right. But before I'll do that, I'll listen to the bot and hydrate. I'm going to let that bleed off. I'm going to let that run down a bit. So let's get the dev timer live. And once that hits 13, we will begin the process. Okay. Don't bang me on this. Alright. So, just going to open up this lid. And once that gets to 13 minutes, we'll begin. Yep, that's developer. You ready, kids? Alright, and here we go. We agitate for the first 30 seconds. Yes, Steph, and we will have the ghost of Dick Clark. Yes, we will be constantly agitating this for another few seconds. Alright. And then we will agitate for 10 seconds at the top of every minute. And if you are not familiar with how this process works, we do this process of agitation so that fresh developer is always moving around in the developing tank. Although, if you just let it sit there for the entire time, then you're going to have very uneven developing. So you want constantly moving developer. So while that is getting prepared, so while that's doing its thing, I am preparing my rinse water. This is the water that I'm going to be using to rinse the chemicals and the film. And you want your rinse water to be, again, close, within a few degrees of your chemicals. So between 68 and 70. And we're getting up to the top of the minute, so it'll be another set of agitation! Yeah, this is not particularly an environmentally friendly way of making art. Never has been. Hell, in early photography, when you had things like daguerreotypes and wet plate, mercury was used as a developer. Early photography was far more toxic than this process, which is called gelatin silver. Oh, that feels too warm already. Alright, 10 minutes to go in the cooking time. Oh, and I forgot to give everyone my standard warning before I started. Because normally, again, I do this on ABA, and I don't go through the entire setup. If you had to pee, you should have done so before I started this. Oh, we are still way too warm. If people were saying sick like has because of mercury, would think that you'd think. I mean, eventually they did. That's my fix you're doing. All right. So after the rest of the time goes by on the developer, the next step is the stop bath, and that's very quick. It's like you pour the developer out, and then immediately pour the stop bath in. That stops the developing process dead in its tracks, and that's the name of the chemical. And stop bath is predominantly citric acid. That's that's its main ingredient. That is not to say that you should be using orange juice as a stop bath. You don't want to waste perfectly good orange juice. Standard stop bath does not even have a nice citrusy flavor or smell. We close? Almost. Also, the reason why most scientific labs now use digital thermometers instead of mercury thermometers. Yeah. But I'm sure you still get those old timers that still swear by those electric thermometers. And who probably still think that a rectal thermometer is the best way to get a temperature reading. It's like, no, sorry, Doc, that's not my kink. Are we close? Getting close. You're getting close. Let me just, Sure! I'm up for some gross jokes. On this fine Thursday evening. What's the difference between a rectal thermometer and an oral thermometer? They taste. Mmm. Thank you, Steph's dad, for a rectal thermometer joke and a poop joke all at the same time. And we are exactly at 68 degrees on the rinse water. So that's going to stay right there. This part was a lot easier when I was in college, because in the photo lab that I had in college, we actually had, it was filtered water in all the faucets, and every faucet had a thermostat. So you could set the thermostat to 68, and exactly 68 degree water would come out. None of this, trying to figure out the exact position of the kitchen faucet to get to 68. Yes, 5 minutes left in this first step. The most important step, but the first step. Shaking my head. I mean, now, with kitchen technology, all the rage. Now, I think I remember seeing something like smart faucets. Like, I don't want, Wi-Fi enabled. No. It's like, we have found the part of the generational line where I will not cross. Smart devices. Nope. I mean, smart devices in general. I don't have Alexa or Google or Siri. None of that. Because I'm that's a bunch of other places where people could come in and hijack. No. Nope. I have an air fryer that is Wi-Fi enabled, and I'm no! Why the hell would I want to connect my air fryer to the internet? I have never been to Disney World, period. I have a Wi-Fi enabled air fryer, so I'm willing to bet that as we speak, Bethesda is trying to figure out how to release Skyrim for it, and Capcom is trying to figure out a way to release Resident Evil 4 onto it. Because yes, you can be the Dragonborn while frying your, making your potatoes or your fried fish or whatever. Like, the late great Robin Williams did a bit about, smart electronics, talking kitchen gadgets. And what did he say? It's like soon, they're gonna get smarter than us. It's like you're gonna go down to the kitchen for a midnight snack, and you're like, refrigerator, open please. No, Robin, I've talked to the scale. Your ass is huge. Computer override code Haagen-Dazs 3.0. Not until you log 2.2 hours on the treadmill. Although he screwed up and he said treadmoil, which then that just the treadmoil for the Jewish man on the go, where you can run and be circumcised at the same time. All right, we are coming down to the wire here. All right, so we're gonna come down to the wire. So let's just open you up, rinse you off. Oh, you are way behind, Steph. All right. Stop bath, I typically don't put a timer on, because it's usually like 10 to 15 shakes of constant. Two. It's about 30 seconds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, we are good with the stop bath. That stops the developing dead in its tracks. Pour that right down the drain. And the next chemical is our fixer. Our fixer, excellent, good temperature. Pour that right in there. And the fixer, the way we deal with the fixer, it's the same as with the developer. Constant agitation for the first 30 seconds, and then 10 seconds after. Stream Elements is foisty, and so am I. So let me, after I deal with this. So, what the fixer does is it removes any undeveloped silver that is still lingering on the film. Takes out any remaining undeveloped silver and makes it so that it can be exposed to light without further damage, or without problem, I should say. So this is the part that makes it safe for taking it out of the tank. So this is the last of the absolutely required chemicals. Yes, I know I need to do some agitating. So, if you are just joining me, first of all, thank you so much for spending some of your Thursday evening with me as I develop some black and white film. If you're curious about my photography, type in !art in the chat, and it'll give you a link to my card page, which is where I have all the links to my website, my Instagram, my Vero, Patreon, Redbubble, all of the links if you feel like checking out what I get up to, photography-wise. So, while I am not this is my last stream for the week. I'm not streaming tomorrow because I have company company here this weekend. But next week, next Tuesday, I will be editing the images that come off this roll of film. So if you want to see what developed, come back here next Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's what we'll be doing. Of course, you can also stop by Monday night, because I also stream video games as well. Right now, I am playing a PlayStation 1 game called Dino Crisis 2, because I played the first Dino Crisis game back last October, so I'm picking up with the sequel. Dinosaurs, they're friend-shaped. Our water is still perfect at 68 degrees. And all right, we're still moving along. All right, we are just about at the end of the fixer, about 4 minutes. Now, if I had a actual photographic darkroom where I'd make prints, this chemical, the fixer, would not get dumped down the drain immediately. You would then take, you could use used fixer, and you would use it to make your prints. Unfortunately, I don't have that, so it's going to unfortunately get dumped, because once you use it for film, you can't reuse it for another roll of film. Okay, so now let's get the now we do the first rinse, and the first rinse is pretty quick. So let me the first rinse is a minute. It's not long. This just gets any sort of residual or obviously residual fixer still on. So, and this will be for a minute. So now, after this, we come to the optional chemicals, and the optional chemicals, as I said, makes my life much easier. So the next one is called Washade, and what Washade does is it does actually remove any residual fixer that's still left on the film. So the reason why I say it's an optional chemical is because at this point, after the fixer, you are basically done. You would just need to let this rinse under the running water for about 15 to 20 minutes to get the residual fixer off. The Washade is going to cut that final rinse time from about 15 to 20 minutes down to 5. Because if you leave fixer, any sort of residual fixer on your film, what ends up happening is that it's going to cause your film to decay and yellow. All right. So this is our Washade that's going in right now. This is going to be between 2.5 to 3 minutes of actual constant agitation. This is where you get your arm workout. Because this is no, agitate for 30 seconds and then 10 seconds thereafter. No, you're doing this for the entire 2.5 to 3 minutes. So let's go. 2.5 minutes of constant agitation. And what this is gonna look like after the time has elapsed is I'm gonna take off this lid and it's going to look very frothy. It's gonna look like I put dish soap in it. But I didn't. This is not soap. It is a cleaning agent for film, but it is not soap. Rabies film? Ah! Yes, it's mad film. I do like when I'm able to do when I can do a film developing stream and you guys can actually see my entire process from beginning to end as opposed to just the actual film developing part. Because I love doing the Artist Back Alley raid trains; those are so much fun. But sometimes I like to, for those of you who are curious about, what all the stuff that I have to do leading up to it. Normally, because I do develop film off stream, it does happen. We have this apartment has 2 bathrooms into it, and one of them is my designated film developing bathroom. Because in our previous apartments, you'd run into the problem of I'm developing film and crap, someone needs to use the bathroom. And I'm like, sorry, pinch the cheeks. You have to wait until I'm done. And my spouse just appeared and gave me the finger. So, yes. I mean, guilty as charged. That was the, I love you too, my dear. Alright. So now, we are ready for the final rinse. And as you can see, there's the froth. Alright. So now, let's dump this out. All that froth on it. It's good head. So because it's already had the fixer done to it, now we can do the final rinse in an open tank. So that's what I'm going to do. There's our film. And let's put 5 minutes on the clock. And go. So the reason why I'm using the hose attachment here, as opposed to just letting it sit under the faucet, which is what I'd normally do in the bathroom, is because for some reason the water pressure in this, there's the water that comes out of here, a lot of air bubbles come out of it. And what I discovered, like the first or second time I developed film in this sink, was that you can see, like, sort of the tiny, tiny bubbles where they were on the emulsion as it rinsed. Whereas there's no, millions of tiny bubbles coming out of the hose here. But yeah, like, you cut down your final rinse time from like 15 to 20 minutes down to 5. Yeah, I'll take that bet. Especially like if you know you live in an area that has hard water, or you know that there's, or you pay for, or if you live in an area where you have to pay for water. Like if you live in an area that you have to pay for water, like, this could potentially, depending on how often you do this, this could be a little bit of a pricey utility bill. That said, you can develop and you can do your rinses without actually needing running water. You would just need to just have jugs of water basically on standby, so that you can pour them into the developing tank, do some agitation for X number of seconds, dump it out, repeat for however long you need to do it. I just noticed that I still have the Artist Back Alley Ray Train animation still down there. Ah, well. That's alright. I'm a proud member of the Artist Back Alley. It's alright. It's been a long week. Like, I had to wrap up. I had to wrap up everything at my old job, and today was the first day of my new job. So it's been a busy and long week. I am so glad that I'm actually working from home tomorrow. Like, I've been in the office 3 out of 4 days this week, which technically I'm not supposed to be because, I'm immunocompromised and all that. But because I had to clear out my desk and today was the first day and just, oof. But we are coming down now to about the last 30 seconds of our rinse, and then we will do the final step, which is the Ilfotol, the wetting agent. Actually, before I do that, I just realized I forgot to set up my drying rack, so I'm going to be doing that in just a few seconds. So, yeah, that can sit in the water, no problem. So, hold that thought. Ah, back we are. Back we are. And I can actually now shut this off. Alright, let's bring on our Ilfotol here. Alright. So, let's do you. Change you from final rinse. And the last step is the wetting agent. So, before I do that, since I'm actually about to handle the film, they match my shirt. Completely unintentional. Alright. Let's pour the Ilfotol. And all I need is to just cover the film. There we are. You'd think I'd planned all this. Oh, I love this. Again, this design is by my good friend and amazing artist Tiny Dragon on Fire. I commissioned this design from her to put this on my Redbubble store. So you can if you want Constant Agitation merch, you can go check out my Redbubble store and you can get it. And you can do that by again, it's if you get link to my card page, typing an ! art, you can jump to my Redbubble from there and pick up some constant agitation stuff. All right, we have just about hit the last 2 seconds and 1, and that's it. That is it. The film developing process is now completed. So now we get to see what happened. After all that, now this is the moment of truth. And as I always like to quote the late great Raul Julia in his role as Gomez Addams from the Addams Family. Okay. Spirits above me, give me a sign. Shall I be joyous or shall I be damned? Let's find out. We get a total crapshoot? No. Not at all. How about that? Those are sure some good-looking negatives. There we are. Look at that. All right. So now I'm going to put this on my drying rack. Be right back. So yeah, there we are. Those look good. So we got some negatives out of that. So that's what I wanted. Wanted some nice tone range. I am very excited to see how those turn out. So what that's gonna do is that's gonna dry overnight, and then I will over the weekend I will scan those negatives, and as I said on Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, come back here, and you are going to see what was on that roll, because I'm going to be editing those pictures. So that is what we are going to do, and that is basically how I develop some film. I only had the one roll of film to develop tonight. If I had more, I would have just started another roll, but I just had the one. So that's gonna be it for me tonight. So again, if you are familiar, if you want to know more about my photography, I'm Brian J. French. Type in !art to get to my card page, and if you want to check out my Redbubble, my Instagram, my Vero, Patreon, all of that fun stuff is there for you. So I hope you enjoyed watching how I do the thing, because I do the thing quite a lot. Let's see if there's anybody we can bring the party to. I want to see if there's anybody online at the moment. So my stream schedule for next week will be as follows. I am planning on doing some video games Monday and Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be doing Dino Crisis 2 on Monday. And if I don't finish it on Monday, I'll be finishing that on Friday. And Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it'll be an art stream. Come right back here so you can see what I just developed. So that is the tentative plan. No one is on doing any art right now. All right, so I will not be passing you off to anyone, alas. So I'm just going to bid you all farewell this evening. So again, thank you for spending some of your Thursday evening with me. I very, very much appreciate the pleasure of your company. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much. And again, no stream tomorrow. So next time I will see you will be on Monday. So until I see you again, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Wear your masks. Go get vaccinated. Go get boosted. All of that fun stuff. Good night. And joy be with you all, everyone. Have a good weekend. See you Monday.